Well, welcome everyone to the first episode of the Tundra Cast. Today with me we have Mr. Jacob Schmidt,
Hello.
Brubra, and Coral Some Sneeze.
What's up?
And on the first episode today, we're going to talk about the upcoming 2021 NHL entry draft and our top 10 mock picks.
Should we start with the 10th pick?
Yeah,
All
sure.
right. Yeah.
Go first.
Well, I'll start it off, I guess. At 10th, I got Simon Edvinsson. He's a defenseman playing in the SHL right now. He currently has 0 points in 2 games, but the years before that, he got 6 and 8 for the Frölunda HC J20, and 10 points in 9 games before that. And scouts have him ranked at 16, but I kind of see him rise in draft as we saw with other defensemen in previous years. 2018. A big riser was Noah Dobson. In 2019, got Sider and Broberg, and last year we got Jake Sanderson. So I think Edvinsson would be one of those players that rises up in the draft.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll go next. Like I also had Edvinson rising a bit, but not like all the way up to the top 10. I had Wallstead. Now that might be like kind of crazy for a lot of people because he's a goalie and most people don't really care about goalies. But um, like honestly, I think that goalies are like the most important player on the ice. They decide your game really, and at this point in time. Minnesota is at number 10. We don't know how that changes throughout the year, but I think they could benefit from.
They could definitely use him.
Yeah, they could definitely use a goalie for the future. So,
Yeah.
let me just pull up his stats. Jesper Wallstedt. So he played on the. Oh God. He played on the J20 national team, the Swedish team last year. Or this year, sorry, and he's got a 924 save percentage, 1.93 goals against average for in the 6 games he's played so far in the SHL, and in the J20 team he's played 1 game, got a shutout. So, and
Solid.
yep, yeah, really. And
Right.
last year in the Sweden U18s, 922 save percentage, 2.82 goals against average in the 7 games he played. So he's a star goaltender of the future, I think. So
I guess I'll go next then. I have actually at 10 Carson Lambos,
Ooh. Okay.
which might be a shocker, but last year in the WHL, 32 points in 57 games as a defenseman, mind you. But this year on loan, he's in the U20 SM Sergeant. He has 5 points in 7 games, and Minnesota's 10. I think they could use a solid defenseman. I feel like that makes sense for them.
Yep.
So with my 10th pick, I also picked Jesper Wallstedt as the 10th pick. And since Coral pretty much said what's said, he didn't say about his height. He's 6'3", 214 pounds.
He's a
Really
big guy, yeah.
good height for a goalie. And him going 10th, we've seen obviously past 2 years goalies going early in the first round. We've seen this year we had Askarov and I think who did Florida pick in 2019?
Spencer Knight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spencer Knight.
And I'm thinking Wallstedt would be probably one of the top goalies in the NHL going 10th.
Yep.
All right. So I guess I'll go with my number 9 pick. So number 9, I know a lot of people don't have him in the top 10, but I have Daniil Chayka. He's a defenseman, of course. 6'3", 190, so pretty decent size for a young D-man. And last year in the OHL, which is one of the best junior hockey leagues in Canada, he got 34 points in 56 games as a 17-year-old kid. He's one of the safer picks in the draft, which might hurt his stock a bit, but he's going to be a guaranteed top 4 defenseman, so you can't go wrong with that.
All right. So at number 9, I have Jesper Wallstedt. Has already been said before. I don't think I need to add anything, but I think that San Jose could really use him, considering their current goalies are kind of trash at the moment. So yeah.
At number 9, I had Nikita Chibrikov. So Chibrikov he's projected to go number 9 by Neutral Zone and consolidated rankings so far. This year in the MHL, 8 points in 8 games, 5 points in 8 games in the VHL, and 1 point in 9 games in the KHL. And last year in the World Juniors in the U17s, he had 15 points in 13 games, 5 goals, 10 assists. So I think he's like a really skilled forward. Like I compare him to someone like, I don't know, Rodion Amirev, honestly, because he's 5'10", 161 pounds. So he's a pretty small guy, but with a lot of skill, obviously. It's because he's playing in the KHL and he's doing pretty decent. So, yeah.
My 9th pick, I have probably one of the best names in the draft, is Chaz Lucius. He's a center. He's 6 foot, 172 pounds. Right now, he hasn't played any games in the U.S. National Under-18 team, but last year in the Under-17 team of USA, he played 6 games, 7 goals, 3 assists, making 10 points. Now, I can see Chaz maybe dropping maybe to like the 11 to 12, but him being on at 9 would be a good center for maybe the Sharks in the future.
All right. So at number 8, I got Kent Johnson. Right now he's playing for the University of Michigan, and right now he's like over a point per game. He has 7 points in 4 games. And the year before that in the BCHL, he absolutely lit it up. Got 101 points in 52 games. So no, he's definitely one of the most skilled players in this draft, and the only reason why I have him at number 7 is because this draft is so deep that it's hard to rank certain players in certain spots. But Johnson's going to be an elite first line wing center, and yeah.
All right. I also have Kent Johnson at 8 overall. Like you said, he lit it up in the BCHL, 101 points, 52 games, over a point per game in the NCAA. He's got amazing playmaking skills, which is why I think a team like Chicago, who's projected 8th, could really use him.
Yep, I got Kent Johnson at 8 too. Like you said, really skilled player. He's got a decent frame. Maybe could put on a bit more. He's only 165 pounds at 6'1", which is decent, but could be a bit more for a center. Or sorry, is he a center? Yeah, center. Yeah, because you got to play defense, probably get into the corners and stuff, but that'll come as he grows. So yeah, Kent Johnson at number 8.
So with my 8th pick, I have Swedish forward Fabian Lessell, and he's honestly pretty short. He's 5'10", 176 pounds, short right wing guy, but he could honestly tear it up. We've seen shorter Swedish forwards dominate the NHL, and in the 2020-21 season so far, in Frölunda HC Junior 20, he's had 11 games, 3 goals, and 10 points, making 3 goals, 10 assists, and 13 points.
All right, number 7, Shay.
And then I didn't.
Oh, sorry.
With my next pick, it might be a bit too high for this player, but I honestly think that he has a lot of potential, and that's Jesper Wallstedt. Everyone's really said everything about him at this point, but he's going to be a franchise goalie. There's a reason like guys like Spencer Knight and Mascroft have been going really high recently, and if you just look at his stats in Europe, they're unbelievable. So I think Wallstedt should go definitely in the top 10, and 7 might be a bit too high, but I really like this goalie. I'm really high on him.
Yep.
All right. So at 7, I have Mason McTavish. He's 6'1", 196 pounds. As a first year in the OHL, he had 42 points in 57 games, which I think is pretty decent. And I think a team like Anaheim or New Jersey could really use him.
All right. Well, at number 7, I have Fabian Lessell. I think Jake, you already touched on it. He's small frame, but actually he's pretty. I don't know if it's muscle or something, but he's already 176 pounds, so he's a pretty big guy. Like not height wise, but he, like Jake said, he performs really well. He gets a lot of points and is a skilled forward, and that's starting to become the new NHL. And we see a lot of teams going for that over the size and the grit.
So with my 7th pick, it seemed to be everyone's 8th pick. Kent Johnson going number 7. Pretty much everyone said what needs to be said. He is now in the University of Michigan, putting up 7 points in 4 games. 6'1", 165 pounds. He could definitely gain a lot more muscle once he's in the NHL, and he'd definitely be a dominant force.
All right, so at number 6, I have Cole Sillinger of the Medicine Hat Tigers. You know, that just in his rookie season alone, he's got 22 goals, and he got 22 goals in 48 games. 53 points. Obviously, a very scaled forward. He's speedy, and like Coral said just a moment ago, that's what the new NHL is nowadays. And you look at who has that pick right now in New Jersey. If he can put that alongside guys like Holtz and Hughes and Hishe, that's a slam dunk for New Jersey. So I'm gonna go for Cole Sillinger.
All right. So at my 6 overall, I have Zachary Lheureux. In the QMJHL, last year he had 53 points in 55 games. This year he has 13 points in 12 games. So he's a left winger, and the current pick, New Jersey, if you put him beside Hishe or Hughes, I think that could be a deadly combo, which could rip up the league.
All right, well, this was going to surprise some people. I have Carson Lambos here at number 7. Well, like bro touched on it back a while ago, he's 32 points in 57 games last season in WHL. He did pretty well in the juniors as well, in the U17s, and now he's on loan in Finland, and so far he's been playing pretty decent, 5 points in 7 games played so far, and he's got a decently big frame. He's already 200 pounds, so he's going to be able to stick with the bigger guys in the NHL, especially as he keeps on growing. So I think with New Jersey, they could use it. They could definitely use him, and he will probably fit in well on their team.
We're on pick 7 or 6, right?
6.
Yeah, because
6.
you said 7, so I was really confused.
No.
All right, so I also have Carson Lambos at number 6 because the top 6 is going to be really interesting, and things can go just south immediately. And so with Carson Lambos, he is a defenseman, and he's on loan for Finland with 5 points in 7 games, which is pretty freaking good for a defenseman. And he could go top 5, definitely could go top 5.
So at number 5, I have Brant Clark. When he was younger with the Don Mills Flyers, as a defenseman, he's gained 100-point campaigns, notching 30 goals, and with Barry in the OHL, 38 points as a rookie, not too shabby. And and when I'm looking at who's projected to have the 5th pick, and that's LA. They already have a ton of forward prospects. Of course, they just got Byfield. They have Alex Turcotte, Gabe Velarde. They have all offensive prospects, but it's still kind of weak on the back end. I think Brant Clark could be an amazing addition to that young LA team they're building. So I'm gonna go with Brant Clark at 5.
Okay, so at number 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have Atu Radhi going here. I would have thought if Clark dropped to the Kings, that they definitely would have picked him up because, like you said, they need defensive prospects. But I think he just, like you said, he's such a good player that I think that he doesn't. So Radhi, his draft stock has fell a bit. He used to be the consensus number 1 pick, but for whatever reason he dropped off, and I mean he's still been putting up good numbers. So far he has 2 points in 6 games in the Liga, and 6 points in 6 games in the U20 league in Finland, and at the U20 internationals he had 4 points in 12 games, 3 points in 7 games just as the Finland U20, and in the U18s he had 9 points in 9 games. So he's obviously performing. I don't exactly know why his draft stock fell so much, but I think it's got something to do with the fact that, like Shay said, this draft is really deep, and there's a lot of other good players that have taken over, I guess.
So at number 5, I have Simon Edvinsson, who is a defenseman. Last year in the J20 league, he had 6 points in 8 games. This year in the highest league, the J20, he has 6 points in 14 games. And in 2 games in the SHL, he has 0 points. If you look at LA, who are the number 5 pick right now, they need to replace Doughty. And I think that Simon Edvinsson is a perfect fit. You know, he's big, he's mobile, he can obviously produce, but he's good defensively.
With my 5th pick, which might be a little surprising to some of you, is Owen Power. And this guy's a beast. 6'5", 214, and he's 18. I mean, he's in the University of Michigan, putting up 4 points in 4 games as a defenseman. And he could go number 1. Literally, any of these top 5 could possibly go number 1. That's how deep and good this draft will be. And if he can go 5, he could be probably the best player in this draft. Being 5.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
think
so
he is the best player in the draft, so I'm actually pretty surprised that you think he dropped that much.
So at number 4, I got Luke Hughes, and he's exactly like his brother Quinn. Both are amazing skaters. Both bring amazing offense on the back end, and he's the type of defenseman that you kind of need to win a championship. Right now he's ranked to go number 3. He's pretty tall, considering that his brothers are kind of short. He's 6'2", and right now, Buffalo's projected to pick around that. And if he can have Darlene and Hughes on the back end with Eichel, Middlestat, Cousins, Reinhardt, Jack Quinn up front, that's a scary looking team. So I have Hughes at number 4.
Right. At number 4, I actually have Brant Clark. I think he's a solid defenseman. Last year in the OHL, 38 points, 57 games. He has a really good two-way game, and while he's not as big as the other guys, he still plays the body and doesn't get beat around by the other guys. He's a really good skater, and if you look at Buffalo, you have him with Darlene. I think that's a nasty defensive combo, which is why I have him at number 4.
Yep, I agree with you, bro. I had him at number 4 for the exact same reasons.
Yep.
So I have the same reasons with Shea for Luke Hughes at number 4. I think he might honestly be better than Jack and Quinn. And him on Buffalo it'd make them a dominant team and would get them their first cup and pull them out of mediocrity.
All right, so at number 3, I think this is a kind of a perfect player for this team to build their team around, and that's Aatu Räty going to Seattle. I know his stock has fallen a lot in the past couple of years, but he obviously still has that elite skill that can make him a top 5 player. And you kind of have to build your team around, a star-studded center, a defenseman, and a goaltender. And I think Räty is the perfect place for Seattle to start off in the NHL. Right now in the Liga, he only has 2 goals in 6 games. But you look at his other stats, in the U18 leagues where he got like 31 points in 41 games. He has a lot of skill. And he's pretty tall at 6'1". So I have Räty at 3.
Yeah, I also have Räty at 3, actually. I understand he isn't exactly the number 1 overall pick anymore, but I think if he can get his confidence back, he'd be an amazing player. He has really good vision and playmaking skills. I think if you're Seattle, you want to build your team around him, have him as the focal point of your team.
I got Luke Hughes going at number 3. Like you said, Shay, you got to build around a goalie, a defense, and a forward, preferably a center. And so Luke Hughes, I think he'd be a perfect defenseman to build around. He's got obviously a lot of skill. He's dominated wherever he's gone, and Jakey said he's probably going to be better than both his brothers, and I agree with him. So I think he's a perfect piece for Seattle to build around on the back end.
So with my third pick, I also have Red. I mean, besides him only having 2 goals in 6 games, I think Karpat is playing him like third or fourth line minutes. So that definitely kind of hurts his stock for just the team doing that to him. But he will probably still go third, in my opinion.
All right. Number 2 is a hard choice. So it's basically like a coin flip between these two. But at number 2, I'm gonna go with Dylan Guenther of the Edmonton Oil Kings. And Guenther is just basically your prototypical first overall pick every year. Guy's just insane off the rush. He's speedy. He's skilled. His rookie year had 59 points in 58 games. This year in the AHL, since the WHL season's postponed, 5 points in 4 games. And Otto last year took, of course, Sanderson. And a couple years before that, they took Bernard Docker. They also have Thomas Chabot and Eric Brandstrom. So I think this year you take a star-studded forward to build, to play with guys like Brady Tkachuk. And I think Guenther can be a great player for them.
Yeah. Actually, at number 2, I have Owen Power. He's a very good defenseman. He is big, 6'4" and a half, 210 pounds. I think he'll be able to play in the league right away. Last year, he had 40 points, 45 games in USJHL. This year in the NCAA, 4 points in 4 games. And if you look at Ottawa, I think that they need a defenseman that can do that for them. You have Chabot, Sanderson, him. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I have Dylan Guenther because I agree with Shay with the fact that I think they'd rather have a forward because they already have Bernard Docker, Sanderson, and Chabot on the back end. It's a really solid top 3 if all 3 of those pan out the way they were supposed to. But so far, Guenther, 5 points in 4 games in the AJHL. He's completely tore up the WHL, and he played pretty decent in the World Hockey Championship in the U17s. So, and I feel like he looks like he's gonna be doing even better this year. I feel like he could probably play in the NHL right away, but I'm not sure about what exactly Ottawa's going to do with him. He's a pretty big guy, 6'1", 170 pounds. He's on the wing, and I think he's gonna end up on their first line at some point in the future.
So with my second pick, I also have Dylan Guenther, and I mean, Shane Coyle have said what has to be said about Guenther, and it's definitely a coin flip from second to first. He can definitely play in the NHL right away.
All right, so my first overall pick is Owen Power, and a lot of Jakey has said his thoughts about him. Just a great defenseman. He's huge at 6'5", and right now for the University of Michigan, 4 points in 4 games. He did well with the Chicago Steel a couple years ago, and playing for the University of Michigan, of course, that's close to where Detroit is, and even though a couple years ago they've added Cedar, you kind of need that left-hand partner for him, and Power's going to be an elite defenseman. So once again, it was a huge coin flip between the two. I could have made an argument for Guenther, but Owen Power is going to be a stud, and on that young Detroit team, with all the picks they have and all the young kids and prospects, he's going to be scared to see in a couple of years.
Yeah, so with my number 1 overall pick, I have Dylan Guenther, and honestly, I was so split on them, but I just think that if you put Dylan Guenther alongside Larkin, they could probably produce and get Detroit some offense, which they desperately need, since they've had one of the lowest goal per games. He's a decent size, 6'2", 171 pounds. He's really fast. He's a good shot. I just think all around he's a good player.
Yeah, so I have own power, and Shea pretty much said everything there is to say about him. He's going to jump into the NHL right away, I believe, and he's going to play on the top line with whoever goes first overall, um, uh, whoever picks first overall, excuse me, at some point in the future. If it's Detroit, or if it's Detroit, he's going to be their hallmark on defense, and they can build a really good core around him.
So with my first pick is Brant Clark. And first of all, 113 points in 73 games on the Don Mills Flyers as a defenseman is absolutely crazy. And I feel like Detroit would love to have him. And I feel like Clark would be one of those guys who would still be a hell of a player, even if he was like 36 years old.
Because Jakey's a Hawks fan, so he was pretty happy when that report came out saying that Kane can play till he's 50.
That would be something to see.
Yeah. All right, so that just about does it for this podcast. Thanks everyone for watching it, and we'll be back next time.
See ya.